Imagine having everything and then quickly losing. On February 8, 2026, a new power couple was to be crowned. Together with New England Patriots star Stefon, Cardi B, the biggest hype queen in the world, was prepared to ascend to the throne. Dig Zizzy's outfit for Levi Stadium's Super Bowl 60. For months we watched them perform in public, go on yacht vacations in Paris, and only 2 months prior to the birth of their baby. But as the clock reached zero and the Seattle Seahawks won the ring, another kind of explosion was happening behind the scenes. Within an hour, the unthinkable happened. Diggs and Cardi were totally eliminated. From social media, no more heart emojis or new chapter captions. Digital quiet is chilly. But precisely at 4:44 p.m. in a Santa Clara locker room, one door banged and another opened in the most recognizable way possible. When the one and only JC sent a text message, everyone was in mourning over Card's relationship. It was more than just a text about how you're doing. Her hit song Imaginary Players is a sample that defined her career. Is it a coincidence that the biggest hip-hop billionaire gives SETI the most assistance right after she loses her partner? Is she at last becoming a member of the elite, leaving the drama of toxic athletes behind and joining the ROC Nation circle? Today, we're breaking down the busiest 48-hour period in music history. It doesn't matter. I won the victory lap. The allegations of cheating in the locker room that ended everything, and the shady business tactics that suggest Cardi B is becoming Jay-Z's most significant product in rather than just a rapper. Not only has the Little Miss Drama age begun, but it is also taking the world by storm. Put on your seatbelts now. The 8th of February 2026, the world's focus was on at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. This was not merely a football game. It was the last confrontation between hip-hop aristocracy and sports dominance. On one side, New England Patriots wide receiver Stefon Diggs was preparing for the most significant game of his career. His partner, Cardi B, and global superstar, was seated in the lavish suites, ready to be his most devoted partner. For months, we had watched Cardi leave the toxic public wreckage of her marriage to offset to build what seemed to be a solid relationship with Diggs. The industry's new power couple was being hailed. But, as history has shown, any foundation based on public shows of affection and carefully groomed Instagram captions is often susceptible to a disastrous collapse. On Super Bowl 60, Cardi B's dream of the perfect new chapter was sure to turn into a public nightmare. As soon as the game began, there was a scary tension on the screen. Cardi was oddly silent for the most vocal and energetic fan at any event. A reporter came up to her before the coin toss to give Stefon a quick shout-out about, instead of her usual charm, the "That's my baby." She responded with a cold, flat two-word statement. Without even looking back, we left after taking the ring home energetically. That initial warning sign told the internet that something had already broken behind the scenes. It was heartless. It lacked passion. She felt as though she was fulfilling a contractual obligation rather than assisting the man she loved. However, as the night went on, it became painfully clear why she was behaving in such a frigid manner. Other women were present in the crowd who, other from Cardi, had an interest in the Patriots' top receiver. According to leaked accounts, one of Stefon Diggs' former baby mothers was spotted in the front row with a child in tow, wearing a personalized Diggs jersey in a display that epitomized architectural disdain. Just think of the psychological damage. As a woman, you have offered a man your commitment, your platform, and a newborn child, only to have him openly share his tumultuous background on the biggest stage in the world. But when a lady named Pry made a renowned connection with Card's ex-husband, the contempt went beyond family ties to Offset allegedly used a keycard that the team had given him to enter the protected area of the Patriots hotel. The gossip went into overdrive. For Cardi, this was the ultimate betrayal, the degree of gaslighting that happens when a new partner is connected to the same bands that caused them. Pain in their prior marriage is too much for most individuals to handle. As the New England Patriots began to lose, the game progressed. The individual who Stefon Diggs, who was meant to lead the attack, was a shadow on the pitch. He seemed ill-prepared, distracted, and completely out of step with the plan. It appeared as though the turmoil of his personal life had finally eclipsed his professional performance. The Seattle Seahawks dominated the pitch, which culminated to a crushing defeat of 29-13. Diggs was losing his loved ones in addition to the game. Cardi B didn't wait till the final siren. She briefly made an enthusiastic entrance during Bad Bunny's halftime performance. But after that, she vanished entirely from the stadium. She didn't wait in the tunnel to console him or share a consoling message on social media. She went into blackout mode right away. An hour after the game ended, the digital guillotine fell. Fans soon saw that Cardi B and Stefon Diggs had unfollowed one another on Instagram. In the age of digital branding, this is like filing for divorce in public. But the rumors that followed were even more harmful. Less than an hour after the game, unverified rumors began to emerge that Diggs had been discovered bringing a female closest friend into his hotel room. Instead, then reflecting on his loss in the Super Bowl, Cardi reportedly spent over $1 according to 2 million for Super Bowl weekend, which was supposed to be the season's high point and included everything from private security to a massive triumph after party. In an act of total finality, she channeled everything. The celebration was finished, both physically and figuratively. The culture began to critically analyze the chronology. 2 months earlier, on November 4, 2025, Cardi had given birth to their baby. During that time, she had shielded Diggs from numerous legal and personal controversies. Diggs was charged with significant felony strangulation following an incident in December 2025. Despite the fact that she was still in the postpartum period, which is when women are most at risk. Although he refuted the accusations, they damaged their relationship. In addition, it was discovered that he had fathered 4 children with different women. Cardi had seen the danger signs, heard the fans' warnings, and even set a firm boundary on allegiance in 2025 alone. But she chose to take his word for it. "Allow me to cure you" proved to be the largest marketing gimmick in hip-hop couples history. Offset. As the turmoil continued, Cardi's ex decided to take a victory lap. Although many saw Cardi's 2-word social media statement as nasty, in actuality, he had been humbled. "I prevailed." She had tried to prove to the world that she could find a safer or better man. However, she found herself in a potentially more precarious situation than the one she had left behind. The story of Out of the Frying Pan and Into the Fire was being written in real time by every blog and commenter on the internet. Not only was the divorce being ridiculed, but Cardi's judgment was also being questioned. They sought to understand how a woman with her level of income, influence, and skill could keep falling in love with the same kind of man who values diversity over commitment. But when 48 hours following the breakup drew near, the atmosphere shifted. Cardi B didn't cry while lying in bed. She refrained from venting her frustrations in the middle of the night on an Instagram live stream. Instead, she retreated into the one area she has always had total control over: her business. Cardi was busily trolling from his living room when his phone buzzed with a notification that would reset everything. Diggs was also preparing for a court appearance. February 13th is the date of arraignment. The time was 4:44 p.m., period for which the well-known Jay-Z was well-known. Snorts, the king of New York, a millionaire businessman who stays out of celebrity rumors, had reached out to. It was not merely a commercial transaction. The sample for her new song, Imaginary Players, had been formally cleared by him. This was a cosign from the industry's leading figure. This marked the beginning of Cardi B, the mogul, and the pivotal moment for the rapper's marriage. Offset and Diggs were playing chess with her heart, but she understood that was using her legacy as a chess piece. She realized that wasting her social capital on men who didn't respect her time or tranquility was not something she could afford. She prepared to perform in Palm Springs, bought herself a $500,000 watch, and scheduled her Little Miss Drama tour. Not the Super Bowl loss, but the weight she needed to shed to ultimately make fly. Jay-Z's power was real, but Diggs' promise of healing was a lie. When Cardi B chose to construct her own table rather than wait for a seat at a man's, Jay-Z was the first to pull up a chair. You need to look at what happened in the next 48 hours. If you want to understand Cardi B's true perseverance, her relationship with Stefon Diggs was digitally executed, while the rest of the world was busy analyzing the cheating rumors and laughing at Offset's insignificant social media comments. Cardi was undergoing a major transformation. She realized that for the past 2 years, he had been providing free exposure and emotional support to men who viewed her music more as a trophy than a partner. It was more than simply a football game when she attended the Super Bowl. It was her former mindset's final funeral. For a man who couldn't even maintain his hotel room, she had had enough of her soul being frozen. Just as private as the encouraging girlfriend in the stands, the industry underwent a total transformation as a result of her subsequent turn, a message that disabled the logs of gossip. The beginning of the transformation was noise. Getting a Jay-Z sample cleared in the music business is like getting needed by the monarch himself. It was at precisely 4:44 p.m. that the news broke that the sample for her new song, Imaginary Players, has been formally approved by Jay-Z. He doesn't just give his blessing to anyone. He is just as protective of his catalog as he is of his billion-dollar company. Jay-Z's approval of this sample, which is a flip of his 1997 hit song, Imaginary Player, was a planned statement. It was the ultimate industry cosign that showed the world that Cardi B was a valued addition rather than a distraction. All during the same week that Cardi's personal life was being dragged through the dirt. The timing of the permission at 444 is too lyrical to be a coincidence. Hip-hop folklore claims that 444 is Jay-Z's most sensitive and mature album. In it, he made the transition from a street hustler to a multinational billionaire and admitted his own marital failings. When Jay-Z contacted Cardi, he was behaving more like a mentor than a peer. He was showing her that was surpassing the fictional actors in her life at this specific moment. The only way to defeat men who seem morally bankrupt yet have a rich spirit is to defeat them. This was not a retaliatory act, but an act of elevation. Cardi B was deceived. Anne was suddenly taken over by Cardi B, who is formerly associated with Jay-Z. Card's career has undergone a dramatic shift with this new collaboration. For years, she was managed by someone who kept her informed about the controversy around rappers. But while she was still dealing with the fallout from her connection with Stefon Diggs, she began to identify with the ROC Nation ideology. The ROC Nation style emphasizes smart releases, silent power, and high-value branding. Cardi was wrapping up the introduction of Grow Good Beauty. Her hair care line, she knew that the only things that would never betray on her, defraud her, or fumble a ring on the grandest platform in sports were her brand and her bank account. Offset was busy trying to trend on Twitter while Diggs was preparing for his February 13th court appearance to face felony strangling accusations. The song itself served as this new era's manifesto. Imaginary players, the culture of toxic athletes and rappers who exploit women like Cardi to boost their own social capital was directly attacked. Card talks about more than simply money in his lyrics. They also talk about the distinction between possessing it and seeming to own it. She refused to show the same level of loyalty as Cardi B in return for the men who wanted their brand to have the Cardi B effect. She was getting close to becoming a billionaire when she started using Jay-Z's rhythm. Rather than becoming the queen of a court, she won a place at the table where the actual decisions are made. The mistress of a locker room or a trap house. The world wondered, though, if she had ever been on Jay-Z's team. Their friendship extends beyond business. Despite the fact that she hasn't signed a traditional recording deal with ROC Nation, it is an intellectual and strategic alliance. Sources claim that Cardi Jay-Z has given her advice on how to handle her vast fortune and how to make it as a single mother in the shark-infested music industry. After Jay-Z cleared the sample, he handed Cardi the keys to the kingdom. However, he also noticed a woman who was being tormented by fictitious characters. He witnessed the same pure chaos and undiluted hustle that he experienced in the 1990s, and it was basically his way of saying, "Come build with the legends and stop fighting with boys." This promotion had an instant effect on her public image. It abruptly ceased being hilarious when joked that she was fumbling with Diggs or worse than Offset. A woman who is today the most significant figure in hip-hop cannot be mocked. Cardi began to behave differently. The noisy, chaotic Instagram lives gave way to expensive fashion editorials and strategic corporate announcements. Rather than reacting to the drama, she was outshining it. She realized that Diggs was a distraction from her true calling. Following months of supporting him, she realized that, with Jay-Z's help, she was the team's genuine owner. The shift also forced her to recast her next Little Miss drama tour as one about her professional domination rather than her personal scandals. She rebranded the drama as a marketing tool rather than as a way of life. "Yes, my life is a movie, but I'm the director, the producer, and the lead actress," she told her fans on the opening night in Palm Springs on February 11th, which served as evidence. Instead of being a grieving woman, she entered the arena as a corporate force. When she debuted Imaginary Players just 48 hours after the breakup, the audience perceived a victor instead of a victim. As this tale comes to a close, we witness Cardi B, who is now at peace. She isn't checking Diggs' location or replying to Offset's tweets. Her main area of interest is the 444 theory of growth and legacy. She has opted for the boardroom's clarity over the chaos on the sidelines. The hypothetical players are now a thing of the past, thanks to Jay-Z's approval and her own unyielding will. The Super Bowl loss set off the greatest comeback in female rap history. Rather than losing a boyfriend, Cardi B discovered her crown. The previous 10 years have clearly been a time when no one has been paying attention. On February 11th, 2026, Cardi B stood under the brilliant lights of the Acrisure Arena in Palm Springs, defying expectations that she would escape into a dark room and bemoan the split with Stefon Diggs. The separation occurred just 48 hours after the Super Bowl. The Little Miss drama began this evening. Tours, and it wasn't just a concert. It was a declaration of freedom. Cardi was occupied with leading 20,000 screaming admirers. Rather than someone who had recently lost a romantic partner, she seemed to have finally shed the burden that was keeping her from realizing her full potential. While Stefon Diggs was reportedly huddled with his legal team to prepare for his arraignment on felony charges on February 13th. It was the highest level of energy the industry has seen in years. Players of Imaginary, Card's opening number was the tune that Jay-Z had cleared a few days prior. The symbolism could not be ignored. Cardi rose from the ground, trembling to the heavy bass of the Jay-Z sample as she spewed each line, feeling like a heat-seeking missile aimed at the men who had underestimated her. Wearing unique avant-garde clothing that shouted mogul instead of a jersey or team colors. Not only was she rapping, but she was also reclaiming her tale, ranting, and chasing the ghosts of Super Bowl Sunday away. The term Little Miss Drama was often seen as a self-deprecating jest, although it had become a brand. If her life was going to be a spectacle, she was telling the world that she would make sure to sell the tickets. But the tour was only one part of it. That same opening night, Cardi pulled off a maneuver straight out of Beyoncé's and Rihanna's playbook. She had been secretly creating formulae, testing items, and other things while the public was focused on her relationship status. Before officially launching her long-awaited hair care enterprise, Grow Good Beauty. She spent 3 years building a supply network. Her brilliant use of attention redirection was demonstrated by the fact that she launched the brand the same week as the breakup. She directed the millions of people searching for breakup tea to a pre-order button, realized that music, a multi-million-dollar beauty brand, is a legacy, whereas heartbreak is a transient emotion. She was now a CEO with a distribution deal, not just a rapper with a hit record. The majority of people don't believe Cardi has the emotional intelligence required to manage the repercussions of 2 well-known ex-partners while juggling this massive career surge. The Offset scenario remained a complicated game of chess behind the scenes. Cardi and Offset were maintaining a rigorous professional distance from one another, who was publicly rejoicing in his victory after the Diggs collapse. Offset is the father of 3 of her children, Culture, Wave, and Blossom. Therefore, she knew that a full bridge burning was out of the question. However, the Offset phase of her life was formally over. She has moved all communication to a third-party app to prevent the emotional manipulation that defined their marriage. As per the sources near her camp, she is co-parenting with a ghost, focusing only on her children's stability while growing her business and her business, even if she still allows Offset access to the kids. Stefon Diggs Week and Cards Week couldn't be more different. Cardi was receiving bank alerts and standing ovations while Diggs saw his world crumble. His sponsors started to withdraw as the February 13th court date drew near, and the NFL league office started looking into the hotel room allegations. The Tiger, unable to alter his stripes, learned that the reputational barrier is lost when the Cardi B effect is lost. He was perceived by the public as implied by the